So hello, please, you can to put your headsets. Good, thank you. Can you hear me? Thumb up? Okay, good. So it is a big pleasure for me to give this opening remarks of this so important event. Let me start by saying that we are delighted to be in this beautiful land in Azerbaijan. We are delighted to see how much effort Azerbaijan is putting to get a good outcome for this COP29. But also we are delighted to have two strong leaders, two strong friends here in this event. My friend Johann Flassbart, State Secretary of BMZ Germany, and the Deputy Minister Uvar Khabimov, Deputy Minister from Ecology from Azerbaijan. So thank you for being here. Look, we know what are we suffering. There is an unconstantable reality and evidence. We are suffering the consequences of climate change. We are beating all the climate records. In 2023 and 2024, we have beat all those records. So we know that we have to do something. That is so important. But also we know what it is happening with nature loss. The recently published Living Planet Report 2024 from WWF, it is showing that in 50 years, 1970 to 2020, we have lost 73% of the well-documented species. 73%. That is a dramatic level of loss of biodiversity. Can we bring one more headset, please? Yours is working? Now it's better? No, it is just to listening. It is not translation, it is just to listening. Okay? Good. Okay, so hope now it is well. So I've been saying that we know because of the evidence where we are with climate change and its consequences, but also adding to that nature loss and how much we are losing species. And we know also because of the Living Planet report that 55% of the global GDP depends on nature. So it is clear that we have to do something. It is clear that we have to address the intertwined crisis. Because we know that nature, it is an ally for climate. And on the other hand, that by combating climate change, we will be more able to address nature loss. That has been said by science. IPCC on climate and IPBES for biodiversity, it is telling us. And also we know that we have already started to think about synergies in between nature and climate. In the recent COP16 biodiversity COP16 event in Cali, we got a good decision, the biodiversity and climate one, in which what this decision it is forcing us, it is to bring more together plans, to join efforts in between NDCs, NBSAPs, national adaptation plans, and long-term strategies. Also, it is telling us that we have to adopt safeguards when it is about those synergies, that we have to mobilize resources to address the synergy, and also that we have to explore some new avenues to promote a dialogue in between climate, biodiversity, and desertification. So it is about cooperation, it is about dialogue and cooperation. So it is why it is so important that in today's event, we will confirm the importance of that cooperation in the southern Caucasus countries, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, because they are moving from the recognition to the action. And that is what we have to do, to implement and to move our actions on the ground. Because when it is about climate change and nature loss, there are no borders. So cooperation and transboundary effects are so important to be considered. But also, it is so important to have the BMZ KFW support and willingness to support these kind of efforts, transboundary and cooperation within countries. That is the way in which we will be more able to address those effects of climate change and nature loss. So let me finish by saying we are here to celebrate. We are here to recognize the importance of having Southern Caucasus countries working together. We are here to celebrate the willingness of countries as Germany to support this kind of efforts. So thank you very much for being here. And now let me give back the mic to, I think, Jochen. I don't know what exactly is the program. My good friends, please, to take the floor. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Vice Minister, dear Manuel. Very happy to be together with you here at this event. And Vice Ministers and all friends from the Caucasus region. I've never been here. Azerbaijan, the Baku COP brought me here to this region. Although all my best friends from the nature conservation community always told me how wrong I was not to be here earlier. So it goes back to the time in the 90s when I was president of the sister organization in Germany of WWF, NABU, the Nature Conservation Society, and the friends told me that this is really the hotspot among the hotspots of global biodiversity. And at least over the weekend on Sunday, I had the chance to visit one of the nearby national parks. So why I'm telling that there was always a high rationale for German cooperation to support the Caucasus region on protecting the biodiversity, the unique biodiversity here in the region. It was back in 2006 when 180 scientists came together to the Berlin conference, ministerial conference, with the first draft or the first version of the eco-regional conservation plan, and our cooperation from our side was built upon these findings, this first plan. And we just had the biodiversity COP, the CBD COP in Colombia a couple of weeks or days ago. And as Manuel said rightly, there is an increasing understanding that biodiversity and climate are sisters. They belong together. We need to approach the challenges of biodiversity and climate change together, otherwise we will have no chance. And specifically, there is no chance to get to greenhouse gas neutrality without using the ecosystem services, the sequestration and the adaptation potential of biodiversity and nature. And I think this is a very wonderful basis to continue here in the region, and it gives me great pleasure. By the way, later on the audience will hear that the so far conservation efforts increased by 14%. The carbon sequestration potential here in the region, just with the measures that were implemented. I think these are figures that we have to bring to the attention of decision makers, so that we better interlink the different spheres of global conservation and climate mitigation and adaptation efforts. So finally, I'm here also to announce, it's a pleasure, that we will provide another 9 million euros for the next step in this conservation efforts. I hope KfW will bring the money out soon. Our government is coming to an end, so it's time to act here to get a deal in Baku. Vice Minister, that under the presidency of Azerbaijan, all governments and all parties will be wise enough to fix the deal. There is a chance to do it here in Baku. Who knows how the future will be? Better do it now than later, and the same applies for the conservation here in the region. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jochen. And it is true, there are no chance to keep the fragmentation in between our climate and nature objective. We have to join that effort. And this kind of event, this kind of initiative, and the willingness of the German government, it is taking the call that we got from Cali. And I am sure that Azerbaijan also will take that call and will respond. So that is why this is my big pleasure to introduce the Deputy Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Vugar Karimov.
Thank you very much. Ben çok üzr istəyəcəm ki, Azərbaycan dilində danışacağım. İngilis dilim o qədər də yaxşıdır. Düzünü desəm, bərbaddır ingilis dilim.
So I am sorry for that. I will speak in Azerbaijani because my English not so good.
Salamlayıram qonaqlarımızı. Xoş gəlmisiniz. Bugün mən sizə özümü təqdim edeyim. Həm də mən də öz tixiyamdayam bugün. Mən də bioloqam və demək olar ki, həyatımın artıq son 25 ildən 30 ilə yaxın bir dövrünü bioloji müxtəlifliyin qorunması istiqamətdə fəaliyyət həsr eləmişəm.
I would like to introduce myself. I'm also a biologist and I spent of my 25 years of my life to the conservation of the biodiversity.
Həmkarların arasındayım, onu demək istəyirəm və bir daha salamlayıram. Əlbəttə ki, Qafqaz, Azərbaycan və xüsusi təqdimata ehtiyacı olmayan regiondur. Mən biraz şişirtmərəm yəqin ki, desəm ki, Qafqaz dünyanın 10 bioloji müxtəlifliyin zənginliyi baxımından dünyanın ən 10 zəngin ərazilərindən biri siyahısına düşür.
I am among my colleagues, and I would like to, maybe you know that the Caucasus is one of the 10 hotspot on regions of biodiversity areas in the world.
Mən floristəm, bilirəm ki, Qafqaz florasının az qalır ki 80%-ə qədəri də məhz Azərbaycan ərazisində, dövlətimiz ərazisində rast gəlinir.
I am florist, and I know that the 80% of Caucasian florist plant species are in Caucasus region, in Azerbaijan.
Yəqin ki, faunada bu rəqəm daha yüksəkdir. Onlar hərəkət edir və ilə gəzə bilirlər, bitkilərdən fərqli
and about the fauna, maybe this number is more higher because they can migrate around.
Azərbaycan doğrudan da öz bioloji müxtəlifliyi, landşaftı, iqlim qurşaqları baxımından doğrudan da bölgənin ən zəngin, ən maraqlı ülkəsidir.
Azerbaijan is one of the more interesting countries among the Caucasian country, among the climate types, among the biodiversity and so on.
Bilmirəm, Elşad çıxış eləyəcək yoxsa yox. Onun bir fikrini burada demək istəyərdim ki, həmişə bizim tədbirlərimizdə çıxışlarında bu xüsusi vurğulayır ki, Azərbaycanda doğrudan da 11 iqlim qurşağının 9-u rast gəlinən bir, baxan da xəricdə kiçik bir ölkə görürsə də, amma bu landşaft zənginliyi, bu təbiətin zənginliyi baxımından doğrudan unikal bir ölkədir.
And I don't know, Elshad maybe will speak, but in Azerbaijan you can find 9 of climate types among the 11 in little bit in small area, in such a small area.
Rusiyada, Amerikada 9 iqlim qurşağının 4'ü 5'i görməkdən ötürü gerek günlərlə, aylarla yol gedəsən.
In Russia, for example, if you would like to see 4 or 5 climate types, you should travel 4 and maybe 5 days.
Bakıdan çıxıb Şahdağa gedərsənsə 9 iqlim qurşağının 9'unu da görərsən, cəmi 5-6 saat.
If you will travel from Baku to Shahdagh and within 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours, you will see 9 climate types.
Səhra yarımsal, səhra landşaftdan Alp, Subayef, Nival qurşağına qədər, Nival qurşağı qədər hamısını bir gündə görmək imkanı var.
And within one day you will see semi-desert and desert climate types to the Subalp and Alps. It is just within one day you can see it.
Elşad, statı olduğu kimi çatdırdım.
Elshad, maybe I will say your stat according your words.
Hər kəs öz ölkəsini sevir. Mən öz ölkəmin vurğunuyam. Həm də ki, mənim biolog olmağım bu ölkəyə kör-kərana vurğunluq yox, doğrudan da zəngin təbiətimizə olan, gözəl təbiətimizə olan vurğunluğumdur.
Everybody like his country, but I'm a biologist and I love my country not only as a human but as a biologist, because I love my country.
Mən pedaqoji fəaliyyətinə məşğul oluram və Dövlət İdarəçilik Akademiyasında tələbələrimə keçdiyim dərslərin birində, leksiyaların birində mövzusu iqlim dəyişikliklərinin bioloji müxtəlifliyə təsiri mövzusu.
I'm also doing my pedagogic academic work in the Presidential Management Academy, and one of the main lecture to my students is about the impact of the climate change to the biodiversity.
Başa düşürəm, salamlamın qısa olmadı, amma 2-3 dəqiqə bu mövzu ətrafında iqlim dəyişmələrinin ətraf mühitə, bioloji müxtəlifliyə təsiri baxımından tələbələrimi öyrətdiyim, nələr öyrədim, qısaca 2-3 dəqiqə çalışdığımı sığışdırıram.
I know that introduction opening speech should be shorter, but I would like to try within 2 or 3 minutes to introduce the impact of the climate change to the biodiversity.
Bu bir misalla aydınlaşdırmaya çalışacağım.
It is one example.
Azərbaycan Respublikasında bioloji müxtəlifliyin qorunması sayəsində dövlətin ana kitabı, ana əsası sayılır qırmızı kitab.
As a main instrument, main tool for the protection of the biodiversity in the country, it is of course the Red Book of Azerbaijan.
Və bu qırmızı kitabın da hər 10 ildən bir yazılması, aparılması bizim Ekoloji Təbii Sərvətlər Nazirliyinə və aidiyyəti dövlət qurumlarına, Elmlər Akademiyası, Elm Təhsil Nazirliyi və digər elm təhsil müəssisələrinə tapşırılır.
The circled publication of the Red Book is after the per 10 years, it is responsible of the Minister of Ecology and Minister of Education and Minister and Academia, of course.
Birinci qırmızı kitabımız 1989'da, ikincisi 2013'də, üçüncü də 2023'dən sonunda nəşr olunub, elmi ictimaiyyətə təqdim olunub.
The first Red Book has been published in 1989, second one has been published in 2013, and the last one has been published last year, in 2023.
89-cu ildə nəşr olan qırmızı kitabda, mən rəqəmləri özümlə götürmüşəm, flora üzrə cəmi 146 növ, fauna üzrə 108 növ. Yəni 89 il, 35 il bundan qabaq yazılan qırmızı kitaba cəmi 146 flora, 108 fauna növü sağlanır.
The first edition, which has been published in 1989, the number of the flora species was 146, and for fauna was 108.
Üstündən 25 ilə yaxın müddət keçir, qırmızı kitabın ikinci nəşri işıq üzü görür və bu qırmızı kitabda artıq flora növlərinin sayı 300-ə qədər, yəni 200% artır. Fauna növlərinin sayı 220-ə qədər, yenə 200%-in üzərində artım.
In the second edition of the Red Book, the number of the flora species has been 300, more than 300, and for flora species was 223 species.
Və üçüncü nəşirdə 460 bitki və 241 fauna növü.
In the last edition of the Red Book, the number of the flora species was 400, and for fauna species was 241 species. It's the last edition.
Mən nəyə görə bu rəqəmləri səsləndirirəm? Mən işarə edirlər ki, vaxt qısadır, yekunlaşdırmalıyım. Bu flora növlərinin 300%, 3 dəfədən çox sayının artması nadirləşən növlərin və fauna növlərinin 250%, 2 dəfə yarımdan çox artmasının əlbəttə ki, antropogen və digər səbəblərdir. Amma bir nömrəli səbəb əlbəttə ki, iqlim dəyişmələridir.
Why I raising this number? Because it is increasing of the number of flora and fauna species for 3 times, for 2 times. It is, yes, of course, there are anthropogen factors, but at the same time, also there are factors of the climate change.
Bu təsirlər ətraf mühit, su ehtiyatlarının azalması, torpaqların degradasiyası, qlobal istiləşmədə hansı mənfi təsirlərini göstərirsə, daha aqressiv, daha hiss olunan təsirlər bioloji müxtəlifliyin seyrəkləşməsində məhv olmasındadır.
Of course, the land degradation and the water problems and the pollution, the main impacts which comes from this aspects, of course, going on directed to the decreasing number of the biodiversity species.
İqlim dəyişmələrinin təsirlərini azaldaraqsa düşünürəm ki, biz bioloji müxtəlifliyimizi də qorumuş olarıq və bu bizim əlbəttə ki, hamımızın, burada oturanların hamısının məqsədi, məramı bu cür olar. Çox sağ olun, təşəkkür edirəm. Uzun danışdığıma görə üzr istəyirəm.
If we will make some impact, will impact to the biodiversity, so I think we will also will protect the biodiversity component. Also, sorry that he speak alone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing with us the beauty of Azerbaijan. Thank you for your willingness to be part of this coalition of Southern Caucasus countries to move things towards addressing climate change and nature loss. I know how much busy you both are, so we really are appreciating your participation, but please feel free to leave us to your next event. Everybody is running. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Deputy Minister, for this opportunity. So now I would like to turn over Georgi Sanadiratse to continue with the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. Works? It's okay? How it works? Okay, so now we'll have a short presentations. I will try to be as short as impossible, honestly speaking, because we are a bit out of the time. So I will speak a little bit about Eco-Regional Conservation Plan. This is our guiding document, which was designed in 2006, and actually which is our guiding document. I mean, it was prepared with more than 180, about 200 experts from the Caucasus region, and actually all work that together with BMZ, WW were implementing this, guided by the ECP. But the Eco-Regional Conservation Plan, for many years, it was concentrated more on the biodiversity issues. It was only small mitigation measures included into the forestry sector, and on the other hand, the NDCs, the main documents for national contributions that we have in all three countries of the South Caucasus, they have not too much about the biodiversity, and there is still a lot of things missing. So this is why we decided to have the special study and to see the possibilities to improve the climate focus of the Eco-Regional Conservation Plan on the one hand, and on the other hand, of course, to prepare the recommendations, how it will be possible to incorporate more biodiversity conservation into the national NDCs. So we use the methodology that we used. It was interviews with the key stakeholders. We arranged the different national and regional events, workshops, and of course we also went through a lot of studies available in the region. So actually what we end and what will guide us in the next 10 years, our work, I mean, these are the recommendations. I will definitely not go through them, but these are the recommendations according to which we made significant changes into the Eco-Regional Conservation Plan. And now the targets that we will have for 2035, we have revised about 11 of them, and we have the 2 which really made a much bigger focus on the climate. And on the other hand, of course, we have the actions. Actions are for the next 5 years. So we revised the 16 actions towards the climate change, and 19 new actions have been introduced to the Eco-Regional Conservation Plan. And this document as a supplementary publication will be ready for December, and then this will be the guiding document for us in the future. And the last slide is about recommendations to the NDCs. In South Caucasus countries, we have the different level of NDC update. Georgia just finished the preparation. Azerbaijan almost finished. Armenia will start. But actually, we produced the recommendations. Some of them are only for one country. For Armenia, some of them only for Georgia, but most of them, as you see, the 5-6 of them are common for all 6 countries, and all these recommendations have been submitted to the NDC group, so they will take them into the consideration during the preparation of the new update. Sorry to be so quick and fast, but I mean, this is what I would like to say about it. And now, Manuel, you will introduce, or yeah. So I will now, Frank Marshall from KfW, he will continue the presentation.
Thank you, Gogi. So I have the pleasure to inform you about the outcomes of the study that was done specifically for this event, to show how climate and conservation are coming together in this region. We heard already about this Eco-Regional Conservation Plan, and this was a very good thing for us as a bank, because that is for us like an investment guideline. So we use this plan to say, where is it good to invest in nature conservation in order to get the best out of the funds that we invest. And that, I think, was very successful. We started 1998 to invest in the Caucasus, and in that time up to now, a total of 260 million euro were invested in this region into nature conservation. Most of it in so-called bilateral projects, that means directly with the different governments. Then we had regional projects, and we have jointly with WWF established the Caucasus Nature Fund, which specifically is an instrument to support protected areas with their running costs. Now, what happened in these years? So this is a map showing these specific corridors, and that is the areas that were analyzed by the study, and that shows this, the status of protected areas around 2000, and this here is what we see now. So we have a significant increase in protected areas by total hectare as well as by percentage per country, and that is a very, very good news. Now, what does it have to do with climate? The study basically says that here you see that the grasslands, especially in the forests, are a quite significant carbon stock. So a lot of carbon is bound in these ecosystems, and as long as they're not destroyed, they are safe. In this slide you see that this green part up here, this is the business as usual, and this is what adds up through nature conservation. So basically, through nature conservation measures in this region, in these corridors, we gained 1 million ton CO2 per year. And if you compare this to the current situation, you see right now that on the side of the sinks we have about on 2.5 million hectare, about the emissions of ammonia are conserved through nature conservation protection. So from the adaptation side, it's a little bit more difficult. It's not so quantitative, of course, but we use this system of these 6 steps in this how to prepare for climate change, how to adapt, and you can see that quite a few regions already have gone through risk analysis of climate change and have identified measures how to adapt to climate change. So altogether, this study shows for us that it was a wise decision to invest in nature protection, because if you calculate it, in the end, it's about 5 to 10 euro per ton that we got out of our investment of conserved carbon. And I think here in other presentations we heard social costs of climate change that might be up to $1,000 per year. So that's really a very, very good investment in our point of view. And with that, I would like to hand over to Jernej for the third part. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Frank. My name is Jernej Stritih, and I'm the Chief Technical Advisor of the Eco Corridors program, working together with WWF in the Caucasus in the 3 countries. And I'll be speaking about how we are implementing this eco-regional conservation program on the local level. So what is the main challenge that we're facing is that conservation and also climate change action has to go beyond the classic protected areas. And basically 10-15 years ago, the thinking in the region started how to engage local population in the surrounding regions in these important conservation landscapes, to not be the adversaries or the victims of the conservation, but to be the partners of the conservation, because they themselves have the long-term interest to preserve the country or the landscape where they are living and from which they are living. And here there are some quotes from these high-level global discussions, but we also have similar discussions on the local level and have to act accordingly. What we have done in the last 10 years is to set up already around 140,000 hectares of community conserved areas, which are supported by 10-year conservation agreements with the WWF, with the village communities, and funded by BMZ KfW. Also other donors have joined us, Switzerland and my own country, Slovenia. And we just heard before from the State Secretary Flasbart that we may do another phase with 9 more million euros in the future. What we are trying to do, we are basically starting with a two-legged approach, or with 2 pillars. One is to analyze the habitat suitability for the key species in the region, to see what are the most important areas for biodiversity, for their range, for their population. And then on the other hand, we do what is called financial participatory approach, or contests and awards, or Manuel may know it as Pachamama Raimi from Peru. So we took an approach from Peru and applied it in Caucasus as a good practice exchange, and it works excellently by mobilizing the villages, empowering them, and building a partner to reduce the asymmetry between the donors and the local people. What we do with them is long-term conservation agreements for 10 years. One of the most important things we realized, to be short, as a main factor in this, is the land ownership and land tenure. In the Caucasus countries, most of the land is state-owned, but it's used many times in traditional ways by the different communities, by different villages, by different users, nomadic shepherds, local people, and so on. So what we are trying to do is to basically make sure that the local people can continue their traditional use, but that it's documented and that it's secure for them, and that they can see a long-term future in this, which means that they will use the land more sustainably in line with the conservation objectives. Maybe just a final note that our main workers in the field, we call them caretakers. These are local people which are paid as part of these conservation agreements to facilitate this process, to prevent poaching, to introduce more sustainable work, and to basically communicate with the local people, with visitors, and with the authorities. And I must say that personally I'm extremely happy that I'm able to lead this program and that we're able to continue with it, and I think it can be used as a good practice also elsewhere. So with this I will finish, and I think we can have some discussion now. So Manuel, please.
Thank you very much to Georgie, to Frank, and to Yerney. So we have heard cooperation, eco-regional planning, where to invest, how protected areas are growing, what are the challenges for protected areas to address our climate and nature objective, how to balance mitigation and adaptation. So many things. So I do want to invite our 3 panelists just to come here, because we have 10 minutes, 8 minutes for a small round, 7 minutes for a small round of Q&A. So please, if you do want to ask something to our 3 speakers, that would be great. Don't be shy. This is the opportunity. It is about on how to cooperate. Who do want to ask something? So probably I will start, and with that I will animate you to be the next. So we have clarity on where to go. We have in biodiversity the 30 for 30 objective. We have the global biodiversity framework. We have for climate the net zero, the resilience objective. We are now talking about synergies. As I've already mentioned in the beginning, we are looking on how we can promote a dialogue in between conventions. How all of this can contribute to that dialogue? What is that concrete element that you do think could strengthen that dialogue in between climate, biodiversity, and desertification?
Yeah, thank you very much for this very interesting question. I think one thing what we should try to show in this presentation are the mutual benefits that can be generated between climate action and the biodiversity. What biodiversity conservation brings to climate mitigation and adaptation, and also being a very cost-effective way to do climate actions in a local context. I think very important role has to be played by the national government through policy integration. And this is what Georgi was talking about basically making sure that these two tracks of policy are not separate, and that different people don't go to different COPs and talk different things in different places.
Excellent. Do you want to go? You are from KfW, so it's a development bank. So
Right.
what are those signals that this kind of project should send to a bank to promote that kind of investment, that willingness to invest? What are those elements for you?
I think Yanni said it already. Yeah, you get a lot out of your money if you invest in nature conservation. You don't only get a good environment, you get safe biodiversity, ecosystem services, and as we have just shown in the study, you have a lot of benefits by saving carbon. So if you compare what the study found out, the Caucasus is not only a biodiversity hotspot, it's also a carbon hotspot in that sense. So I think that is very exciting that we have a possibility now to catch one rabbit with two stones. And actually the third one, which is also for us very important, is we work with local people and we make sure that there is a future for the local people in their own environment. So we give them a chance to develop in their rural areas, which are often depopulated, especially in the Caucasus countries, and this can be stopped and mitigated by this.
Thank you. And Georgi, you manage a regional office. So how to keep these good relations, how to build more trust in between countries? What is that role that you can play in promoting that level of understanding?
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to add a few words. Actually, before we talk, we work with the communities. And before we talk with communities, we talk about biodiversity. But now, the effect of the climate impact is so big and it's so evident that we have to speak now with people about climate as well. We're talking now about the resilience of communities and ecosystems. So it's a different world, it's a different reality. You can't speak now, you can't divide, you know, that I'm biodiversity protector and we have to the climate is something separate. Definitely not. But of course, it's also in countries like this Caucasus countries, the synergy, the cooperation between countries have to be very strong. It is not only cooperation with the governments, of course, it's also cooperation between the governments and between the countries. And actually, when we are talking about the eco-regional conservation plan, eco-region is much bigger than the countries. And actually, we are absolutely sure that we can reach the results only in terms of transboundary cooperation, work together, and also the sharing of the experience across the region.
Thank you. And we have here one question. Please, there is a portable mic. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Now it's not working yet?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, I can't hear a lot. I'm Peter from KfW as well, Chief Climate Officer. I just wondered, congratulations for the study. I think it's very useful work, and also to integrate biodiversity, ecosystems, and climate in one study. And I'm assuming that there has been a climate risk analysis part of the study, or do you think there should be one for the future? And if you are looking at climate scenarios, what would you be looking at? What time frame? And what would the impact be on the ecosystems you are protecting?
So I have to take it out. Yeah. If you remember in my presentation, I mentioned a lot of new or revised actions that we have to take. Many of them are about the estimation of the risks and understanding of the risks that climate change creates to the biodiversity. So this study was quite short, and just to highlight the most important aspects of nexus between the climate and the biodiversity, but many actions, they definitely we have to take into work next 1, 2, 3 years. Is about the risks, about analysis, understanding of the risks, and consequences of these risks.
Okay, so some other questions, an additional and last question if you wish. No, if not, thank you very much. A big applause for you all. So now let me invite Maka Bitsatse to manage this segment about partnership for biodiversity and climate.
So, session about the partnership. Partnership is key to address immense environmental challenges we are facing. And for this, we need collaborative effort and strong partnership, right? So no organization can make changes alone, which is very important and needed for our safe and sustainable future. So once again, we all agree that partnership is key. And we agree that we have to leverage the strengths of our cooperation, collaborative action and partnership. And the success stories we have here in our region, thanks to long-term partnership and thanks to long-term and long-standing support from financial institutions, and also because of long-term commitment by different stakeholders, government, local communities, civil society groups. That's very important to think and to develop the partnership. And ecoregional conservation plan, on about the ecological conservation plan, and the Eco Corridors Fund program, which has been implementing since 2015. This is funded by government of Germany through KfW. This is one of the successful program, innovative and novel project and program in the region, Armenia and Azerbaijan and Georgia. This is a program which brings local communities in the heart of conservation and empowers local communities for nature protection and for sustainable future, for their future. That's a very clear example, actually, how to bring local communities, not only partners, donors, private sector, and civil society groups, but also to bring local communities as our allies to protect nature and to secure future. And this program exemplifies, actually, how it's important to have long-term commitment and long-standing partnership for success. The ECF program also has established, which is very important to highlight, has established environment which somehow helps countries to leverage new funding, to secure new funding for nature conservation. And currently we have two such ongoing large projects in the region, one in Georgia and one in Armenia. Georgia, this is support from Slovenian government, which the projects focus on sustainable forestry and introducing sustainable forestry and helping local communities in sustainable development. And second big support, this is from Swiss government through SDC. This is a project ongoing in Armenia, again focused very much on local sustainable development, again bringing into sustainable conservation local communities. And for Azerbaijan, the initial steps already taken, and we have first negotiations with FAO to explore new funding opportunities for additional funding in Azerbaijan, which is great actually. And we have to acknowledge how much strategic long-term commitment and involvement leverages new funding and creates more enabling environment for nature conservation. One more important thing I would like to highlight is this is also about the commitment in long-term not only relying from donor sites, not only implementing organizations, but all the time our donor institutions highlight the importance of us as stakeholders to be engaged in the implementation. And of course, I have to take this opportunity and to express our gratitude and high appreciation to our donor organizations. You know that without your support, what conservation impact we have and conservation success in our precious, really precious region, you know, part of biodiversity hotspot and very beautiful and unique region. It would not have possible without your critical support. We acknowledge, we fully recognize, and it's high appreciation. It's really heartfelt appreciation from our side. And we see and we feel this long-standing commitment, which we just saw a few minutes ago. We are very grateful that it's your support. We are having this precious biodiversity on hand. And when we are talking about the partnership, we say all key stakeholders should be involved. And of course, on our mind, we think about the private sector, about the business. It's very important to bring the business on board. Everybody should be on board. Everybody should feel ownership and responsibility for our nature, for our secure future. So, and also we see just not be part of environmental projects, but also we see private sector as allies to be with us to identify environmental solutions and to be with us to implement environmental solutions and to be with us to drive, not only to be with us, but drive the positive environmental actions. This is when we are talking about the partnership. This is not only implementation, you support us, but please take a lead as a private sector and drive positive changes. It's very important for sustainability. And with this note, of course, I have to announce that today we are launching a new partnership. And again, I have to highlight about the Eco Corridors Fund program. It's only enable environment, not leveraging funding, new sources from bilateral donors, but also it's enable environment to have new partnerships with private sector and work which has been done in the frame of Eco Corridors Fund program, created this environment and somehow advanced this new partnership with private sector. And today we are launching partnership with Carlsberg, Azerbaijan. We are going to sign the memorandum of understanding. If I'm not mistaken, sorry, this is a partnership on clean water. And today, WWF Azerbaijan and WWF Carlsberg, Azerbaijan, that's always a nice merge, yeah? So that's a sign of successful cooperation, yeah. And Azerbaijan, Carlsberg, will sign the memorandum of understanding. But before we start with signing of ceremony, I would like to invite Director of WWF Azerbaijan, Mr. Elshad, just to say a few words, yeah?
So, dear guests, distinguished guests, WWF Azerbaijan, as a part of WWF family, started its operation in Azerbaijan from the very beginning of 21st century. And it is the first memorandum of understanding and agreement with business sector here in Azerbaijan. And we believe that with joint efforts with Carlsberg, Azerbaijan, we shall support communities to be more resilient against climate change and to support them in having more clean water. So, thank you very much. I am inviting our colleague from Carlsberg organization. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elshad. First of all, on behalf of Carlsberg Azerbaijan, I would say I'm really happy and I would say honored to be here before signing of this memorandum of understanding together with WWF Azerbaijan, and I believe this will be a long start for the long cooperation between our companies. And talking about Carlsberg, so at Carlsberg Azerbaijan, I would say that we recognize the water, that it is one of our most valuable resources that we have, that both for our business and for the communities where we operate as a producer. And today's commitment, it is a part of our global sustainability strategy, which at Carlsberg is called Together Towards Zero and Beyond. And I believe this aims to minimize our environmental impact while we're creating a positive change for both our people and our planet. Carlsberg Azerbaijan operates in Azerbaijan since 2008, and here we invested a lot, helping to transform local beverage sector. But what is more important, I believe, is future, as we continue to grow and expand. So it is really crucial that we take proactive steps to safeguard and replenish the water resources, which are vital for both our production processes and local ecosystems. For us, this memorandum of understanding, it is not only about the formalizing partnership. It is more for the reaffirmation of our shared values, together of environmental responsibility we have, and the community engagement and sustainable development. And I would like really express our gratitude to WWF Azerbaijan for your expertise, for the leadership in the environmental conservation and our future partnership. Thank you very much, Elsa. Thank you very much.
Big applause for this. As Naka mentioned, long-term commitment, long-standing partnership. Thank you, Carlsberg. Thank you, WWF Azerbaijan. Look, the time is perfect. The time is perfect to say thank you to you all. It is time to have a very fresh Carlsberg to celebrate this opportunity. Thank you very much for being here.